what's happening in India, especially related to belly fat. And I know it's a big problem all over the world, but especially in India for several reasons.
Here is Dr. Berg with new information beyond belly fat, this time with a guest. India, with its rapidly urbanizing population and changing dietary patterns, has become a breeding ground for belly fat buildup. According to a recent study published in the Indian Journal of Medical Research, over 50% of urban Indian adults possess excessive abdominal fat, putting them at an increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and even certain types of cancer. This burgeoning epidemic is particularly alarming in light of the country's unique genetic makeup. Not just in India, but obviously solving belly fat problems is a common problem among people in different countries. So let's go to see the new results in order to run away from an inconvenience. Belly fat is not just annoying because of the way it looks. In fact, there are many cons related to belly fat. Excess belly fat, also known as visceral fat, poses significant health risks. Unlike subcutaneous fat, which lies just beneath the skin, visceral fat accumulates deep within the abdomen, surrounding vital organs. This type of fat is metabolically active, releasing harmful substances that contribute to inflammation, insulin resistance, and an increased risk of serious conditions such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and certain cancers. You would wonder if you hear that 1 child in 3 children has fatty liver these days, which is a real difficulty for our today's society. Childhood belly fat, especially excess visceral fat that accumulates deep within the abdomen, is a growing concern. While some belly fat is normal, excessive amounts can significantly increase the risk of serious health problems later in life. Beyond physical health, excess belly fat can also impact self-esteem and contribute to negative body image. But fortunately, the positive point is that this problem is completely in human control. You may ask why, or this question may come to your mind that if we are capable of controlling this problem, why fatty belly is that common? As far as we are concerned, the most common reason to make people fat like that is definitely our modern lifestyle. Although India is not the worst, unfortunately, it is in the list of the top 5 countries with maximum cases of type 2 diabetes. We don't really ignore other reasons like genetics or heart problems, leading to big belly, but as far as the statistics like this one show, there is definitely something wrong with our preferences. Let's start with some facts about the human body. Carbohydrates in excess amounts make insulin release, but did you know about the impact of insulin? Insulin does not only store fats, but actually prevents you from burning it. Insulin plays a role in regulating fat metabolism. When insulin levels are high, it inhibits the breakdown of triglycerides in fat cells, preventing the release of fatty acids into the bloodstream. This process is known as lipolysis. It's stimulated when insulin levels are low. By preventing lipolysis, insulin promotes fat storage and inhibits fat burning. This effect is exacerbated by the fact that insulin also stimulates the uptake of glucose into fat cells, providing them with an additional source of energy. Therefore, high insulin levels can make it difficult to lose weight and burn fat, as they inhibit the mobilization and utilization of stored triglycerides. Even when these facts exist, but whenever something is wrong with our body, we search for a medicine to solve it. We don't usually spend time to edit our lifestyle aspect, but more on medical aspect.
And it was very little time spent on the lifestyle aspect and much more time spent on the prescription aspect. Whether it was the presence of pharmaceutical representatives in our clinics, funding or doing these little reminders of what to prescribe, there was very little time or energy.
But how do you think we should change the nutritions we consume daily for a better result? Mostly around us in supermarkets and grocery stores, it's full of sugary things which are much easier and also faster to be provided. But who really cares about how they hurt the body while consuming them? It gives people extra time to do other tasks. Nowadays, people tend to use their meal time to do other things that are not even as important as their well-being, instead of spending their time to provide a healthy and proper meal to consume. Although the blame is on the food trends, invalid information, or wrong beliefs, but we can arrange what to eat and what not to eat. So as an organizer, the actual blame is on ourselves. Lack of information about the impact of nutrients and diabetes leads to unhealthy foods and, as a result, a sick body. For example, here we have an insulin-carbohydrate ratio.
which means for how many grams of carbohydrate, how many grams of insulin am I trying to give this patient? And I teach the patient that is how much they need to be injected for that meal.
This kind of knowledge is usually kept like a secret and not getting public because there's no TV program or famous magazine to act as a notification. We have to show the relation between carbohydrates, insulin, and that fatty belly. People should be completely aware that lower carbohydrate needs less insulin to be set, and less insulin equals less fat. Another thing that mostly people are not aware of is that low fat doesn't equal lower calories. People usually take low-fat foods because they think they are healthier no matter how sugary they are, which is a wrong but common belief. They use foods like idli, dosa, or upma in breakfast. When they want to have a healthy one, they eat cornflakes, muesli, or juice for breakfast, which are all sugary and processed. As a result, you become hungry soon after breakfast with no energy left to do the rest of your activities till lunch. So you start eating even more carbs to fill your stomach and get more energy. When it comes to lunch in India, there are different foods again that a bowl of rice with vegetables with the portion source is a proper choice. There is obviously a big confusion about carbohydrates, and that is starch.
So if we take a look at a carbohydrate, I think there's a really big confusion on what a carbohydrate is because it's not just one thing. It's basically three things to keep it simple. You have fiber, that's a carbohydrate. You have sugar, which is a carbohydrate. But there's a third thing. If you deduct the fiber and the sugar, there's something else that's left.
Starch is a complex carbohydrate that serves as the primary energy reserve in plants. It is composed of numerous glucose molecules linked together in long chains. Starch is insoluble in water and exists in two forms: amylose, which forms helices, and amylopectin, which has a branch structure. Starch is found in various plant tissues, including seeds, roots, and tubers. It is synthesized from glucose in the chloroplasts of green plants through photosynthesis. Starch provides sustained energy for plants, being broken down into glucose when needed. Starch is a complex carbohydrate, a type of polysaccharide. It is the most common carbohydrate in human diets and is found in foods such as potatoes, rice, bread, and pasta. Starch is made up of glucose units joined together by glycosidic bonds. When starch is digested, it is broken down into glucose, which is then used for energy. It is as bad as other sugary foods. As we saw, Indian choices for foods is more than half of carbohydrates in all meals. People have replaced portions with carbohydrates, and then they crave more sugar and energy because carbohydrates are not capable of giving them enough energy and making them full. While human bodies seek protein not as an energy giver but as an important nutrient which is replaced. The fact is that protein is what makes people satisfied truly, and actually carbohydrates is what turns their bodies into bad shapes. Try to take control and change the diet in a real effective way. Use this new information you have to make better decisions. Thanks for watching the video.